pretty good. My real goal is to beat the big guys, but we'll cover this in detail because I know it's going to come up. So you don't even have to ask a question. We're going to cover water, okay? Here's the things we're going to cover. We got to cover zones. It's confusing. You'll be an expert when you get done. Frost dates, although we're not in frost country, but you need to know when the last frost is, when it goes. That's part of gardening for newcomers. We got to cover irrigation, watering, planting, and the environment. The sun, it's different here. It's the altitude that gets us. We'll cover the top 10 plants, and then we're about to come into rain. I hope. We need it. And then bugs. We're starting to see the bug, although next week is dedicated just to bugs. So we'll go deep. We'll have samples. We'll show what damage is. We'll go real deep in how to deal with them organically. So I won't go too deep, and that's if we can make it this far. We'll do this all in about 50 minutes. And at the end, I'll leave time for Q&A questions. It's small enough. We might be able to field a few. We'll see how energetic the group is. I might be able to take a few questions as we go. Okay, so that's kind of the format. We live now, folks on camera. They're on. So we're beaming this through Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We're trying to get better with the digital stuff. We see you. We're glad you tuned in, but come visit me. We'd like to see. We'd rather have you be a student. If you're a note taker, like some of you, I see the journals out. You can go back and watch it on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Waters Garden Center. It's right there. It will be live streamed. By the time you get home, it will be uploaded. It's there, okay? All the handouts. So the handouts, the privilege is you get all the handouts right away. The rest of you, I have 3 handouts. 1, how to plant. You're going to have the detailed, this is how you do it. On the back of that is, here's the water guide. It's the card, only a little bit bigger. It's made to go in a journal. The card is a little small for some of you with you need cheaters to kind of see things. This will be a bigger one you can see easier. The top 10 plant list. We're going to cover this, but you'll have the actual physical list of the most popular. No detail, just here's the top 10 fruit trees. Here's the top 10 fall colored trees. Here's the top 10 privacy screens. It's the top 10, not by any means the only 10, just the most popular, okay? I'll send that to you via email on Monday morning, first thing. It's already lined up to go. I just need to I just need time to plug your emails in. If you could, I am going to personally interpret your handwriting. Some of you have atrocious handwriting, and I'm going, is that a B or a 6, or what is that? What were they trying to tell me? Just take a moment and write it a little cleaner for me. It helps me not spend so much time behind the keyboard. But if you want that, put your email down, and it'll be to you in a couple days, okay? So if you're a note taker, you'll have, this is a very content-rich class. There's a lot of detail, because you just need to know where you're at, where you're gardening. Number one thing is we are a high altitude. We're much more like Denver, even Michigan, than we are like Southern California, Phoenix, Palm Springs, Tucson, the lower elevations. So in Arizona, we can literally have the hottest day in the country, the hottest day and the coldest day in the same state. That's the White Mountains, all the way down to Phoenix, Yuma, everything in between. So, and the big problem is all of our So that's why we get the extreme temperatures of day and night, which makes it really pleasant. Open up the windows at night, so cool off. And whereas Phoenix is still like they're living on the sun's surface. Why is it 100 degrees at midnight? That's crazy. Don't live down there. Come up to God's country. It's way better up here. What that also does for us is we have a very broad mix of plants. can grow. If you're from the Midwest, plant. Cover that a little bit deeper. Southern California, you poor folks, you need to change your ways, okay? You can't grow Japanese maples in full sun here. You can there. The tag says we'll grow in full sun, but at this altitude and our dryness, it will grow in full sun, but it'll be the ugliest plant you've ever grown because it'll get burned tips. It just look beat up all the time. But in the shaded areas or the mornings, they'll take our temperature. It's about the dry spring, new growth coming out in dry spring. That's what causes the damage to your Japanese, certain things. So placing where they go, you need to maybe come check with us. Ask, okay, is it okay for me to grow this out? Not that you need permission. Gardeners, I've learned, don't tell them what to do. They'll figure it out, but just kind of guide and advise a little bit so they make a few less mistakes. Our goal in this class, you're still going to make mistakes. We just want you making mistakes in the right direction. Okay? Our zones, we are a zone 7B. They just changed this to zone 8. Why did they change our zone? How much antifreeze does that plant need before it freezes and dies? And so we are warmer than we were 20 years ago. It's a 20-year rolling average. They take the best from 7B, which we need plants that go down to about 10 degrees. This is plants that go down to about 15 degrees. They still need to take in Prescott Valley. You're definitely a zone 8. You're the other side of the hill, Skull Valley, Yarnell, definitely zone 8. Maybe you might a little bit. What I have to cover, you poor folks from Prescott Valley, you think you're so special. I love you guys. You're the same as the rest of us. There's no difference between Prescott Valley, Paulden, Prescott. We're all the same, plus or minus a degree or two. Our last frost date in Prescott, Arizona is May 8th. Prescott Valley, you guys are special. Yours is May 6th. It's different, same. What it comes down to really is your sun location. So I live up above the high school, up in the Prescott Heights area, and it's valley areas. All that cold air settles down the dry washes. You'll feel it as you walk the neighborhood. It's colder down there and up here. So that plays in more. So the dry water, the eastern side of the hill, that's the best gardens because that morning sun pops up and warms everything up right away. The south can be pretty brutal. So that reflective heat, especially in a patio where you've got a wall up there, the sun is hitting, that garden is already hot, now it's reflecting some heat, you'll find, oh, my plants dry out a little faster over there. I might need plants that take more heat right there. So there we might place in we'll show you a couple plants later. So it comes down to more which way is the sun facing. That's going to play more difference than your altitude or what neighborhood or what city you live in, north, south, east, west, okay? I've got a north-south facing gardens. My south gardens, it's very warm. It's definitely zone 8. I've got patios, it reflects heat. They're beautiful gardens. I've got plenty of shade trees up there that kind of reflects out it makes it cool. So in the morning, that's where we camp out because it's so nice. Hummingbirds are out, the butterflies are floating around. It's beautiful. The north side is where we spend the evenings because I got a 2-story house, big patios, the shade from the house and the tree just kind of keeps everything pleasant. So we've got different gardens. In the winter, I tend to kill things on the north side because that snow hits and it stays there. And it just melts slowly and just things start to rot on my north side. Then the south side, yeah, it all melts off. It's like at the end of the day, it's all melted. Hardly have to scoop anything up. But the north side, it holds the snow more. And you'll find that as you go out to Timber Ridge, some of these hillier tree-covered neighborhoods, you'll find there's some spots that might stay wetter in the winter, and that's not good. Wet is not good for plants, especially in clay soil. Okay, so that'll play out more than just what your zone. So what zone is, you can grow zone 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That zone and lower, you're good to go. Zone 4 and 5, that's like lilacs, forsythia. Those plants can go down to like minus 20, 30 degrees. We never see that, but they could if they wanted to. So, but definitely they'll live in zone 8. What you need to watch for is zone 9, 10, 11. That's Phoenix, Palm Springs, Tucson. Those are deserts. Those plants, if you look at them with a cold thought, they die. So they have zero antifreeze. So you folks from Southern California, you brought your succulent collection with you. You're so proud you've been nurturing these for 15 years. You brought your collection with you, and then you planted them outside, and they thrived. They love the sunshine. They love everything about Prescott, Arizona, or this area. Then the winter comes, they turn to black mush because they were a tropical variety of succulent, not a perennial, a hardy, a zone 8 variety or lower size perennial. So let me just show you real quick. Let's see, the most famous of all succulents. Anyone know what this is? Chicks and hen. I mean, it's like the number one, your grandparents grew this. It's a weed up here. It's a rock garden plant. This is a succulent that takes our cold and thrives. I love it in containers because it puts these little babies on. They just flow down. You could take them and replot them everywhere. You'll have too many of them soon. Then you'll be giving them to neighbors. You'll take them at the farmer's market. You'll be sharing them with everyone, and you still can't get rid of all of them. It's very happy here, okay? This is a very common one. This will take our cold right outside, never freeze. I think this is like a zone 6. It goes down to sub-zero before it gets damaged. We'll never see that kind of cold. So chicks and hen are a great one. This is another one. I just planted this one. This is called Ice Sun Sparkler. I had a garden area. It had a real dark, like ground cover, and I needed something light. I need something to counteract all that dark mulch. So I planted this. This is these are related. Succulents and sedums, they're kind of the same thing. They're not cactus, but they have flesh like cactus without the needles. It's like a cactus, only better. Gets the same kind of flowers, bright colors. These are both used in rock gardens. So I love these in containers because most sedums will put these long tendrils, they just flow down. They're very beautiful. And most of them are evergreen. Not all, but most are evergreen. So in the winter, it looks like this. In the summer, it looks like this. In the spring, it looks like this, only it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So kind of watch, if you're from California and you're bringing your collection with you, take those indoors for the winter, figure out which ones they are so you don't lose them this coming winter. And when you will lose them will be October. October 29 is our official first frost. So we're several months off, plenty of growing season, but you've got those great big tomato plants and huge green tomatoes, and we're into October. You need to be ready to cover those, to protect them or pick them early. Don't let them freeze. Just know it will come. And so the locals use Mother's Day and Halloween as the 2 holidays that we mark. And okay, we need to remember this. I don't remember May 8th. I don't remember, but I do remember Mother's Day. And so that's our typical last frost, okay? So we will have stellar, I mean, just beautiful days in March. Gorgeous. You will be tricked into planting early. Your tomatoes, your basil, you'll be tricked because you're thinking, oh, it's so great. Especially you poor folks from the East Coast where it just slowly warms up and just gets better and better and better. Now we violently get better and better. So it'll be nice, and then we'll get a storm will come. We'll get another snowstorm. You'll have 8 inches of snow that melts off right away, but it killed all those basil plants you planted early. You want to wait until after Mother's Day for the summer things. Now, the spring things, broccoli, leafy things, lettuce, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, they love March and April. They thrive. The taste comes out in your spinach and your lettuce better when it's cold at night, bright during the day. So you need to know when to plant. Pansies, they do not want to be planted in May. They want to be planted in October, or September, when you're going into the cold, because they just bloom. The colder it gets, the more they bloom. All mine have faded because they've gotten too hot. No matter how much you water them, they just lay over. If it's above 85, they just lay over and go, I'm out. I can't take this anymore. I'm dead. And that's when you put your zinnias, your geraniums, your lantanas. They love the heat. They celebrate the heat. So plants are very much like people. Some of you are like cold lovers. Some of you are like me. The warmer, I need the sunshine. I just want to lay up on a rock and warm up. I love laying on a beach. Just give me a towel. I'll be there all day. I love the sunshine. Some plants are like that. They want the heat. They want the sun. Plant them in the right time. Just know those dates. Mother's Day, Halloween. Okay, you need to know that. All right. Succulent. Boy, we're covering a lot. Let's cover water. Break out my business card. Okay, you folks don't have my card, but I did put the water guide or the planting guide. This is on the back. So kind of pull it up, take a look on your screen. You'll see it. So a big mistake, you folks from the Northwest, this is the biggest mistake you make. Okay, you overwater everything. You folks out in the valley areas, Paul and Chino Valley, where water is free, you grossly overwater things. Throttle back the amount, give the amount of water, if you're watering every day, that's too much for trees and shrubs. They don't like that, especially if you're in those valley areas where it's heavy clay soils. And so if you get a thicker soil, it's great in that it holds moisture. It reduces the amount of water you need to water to irrigate things, because that ground just takes a long time to lose a lot of that moisture. It holds moisture. The negative is you tend to overwater things. You get root rot or crown rot. There's lots of rots. So things start to fade. And here's the indication. The plant starts to get brown leaves. It gets a little wilty. You would swear it needs more water, but it doesn't. It needs less. And here's what happens. As things start to let's say you take this beautiful chase tree. Let's just see. I don't think I need the chair for this. This is a very famous drought-hardy tree. It's about to start, it smells really good. It's about to start blooming. It's like the ultimate pollinator. As soon as this thing blooms, butterflies and hummingbirds are all over this thing. Gets up about 10, 12 feet. It's like a mini tree or a very large bush. This is typical form. So chased tree is how you chaste, chased tree. Maybe I'll give you some history on this. Now let me finish, then I'll give you history. Kind of fun. What happens is you start planting this. It's already drought hardy. You're watering it, and let's say you overwater it. The roots literally start to disappear because they start to rot off. So the root mass starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the indication is it's still trying to keep the whole foliage mass alive, but it has less roots. So the indication looks like it's being underwatered, and it is, because you rotted off the roots. If you're going to make a mistake, especially out in the Prescott Valley, wrap it all the way to Chino, Paulden, if you're going to make a mistake, that's where your caliche layers, that's where your heavy clays are. I would say the entire 69 corridor, from Ranch, Yavapai Hills, all the way out, heavy clays with caliche. If you're going to make a mistake, go underwater rather than overwater. You can always add more. What do you got there? What is that? Is that caliche? Oh my gosh, that's a great, thank you for that. This is awesome. This is caliche. This is cement. There, you'll see it in a road cut. Let me back this off just so I'm on camera a little better. I don't want you guys looking at my belly button. I want you looking at my face. Okay, so this is, you'll see it in a road cut. You'll see this white band, white kind of layer. It can be anywhere from this thick. I've seen it as thick as 18 inches. It could be anything in between, but it's a calcium layer that just literally water will not go through this. The only way you can garden in this is when we hit this, what we'll do is we'll take a jackhammer, we'll take a digging bar, even rebar, we'll try to break it, fracture it. Once you break this, the water will start seeping through it to the next soil band. So this is not your friend. This is terrible. Thank you for, could you sign this for me? I'm going to give this back. You still have to hold it. So you can maybe pass that around. Yeah. That'd be great so people can kind of see it. So as you get closer to Granite Mountain, there's less of that. It starts at 69 corridor going out that way, okay? Going back to watering. You're about once a week. So you're seeing I broke it down into two seasons. We've got our growing season, April through October. Basically correlates to this, the growing season. And then you've got winter. You are watering year round here. Every month of the year you should, sorry about that, you should be watering. The question is how often? Frequency. It's coming down to frequency. So about once a week is about right. For established plants, you've got a rose bush that's been in for a year or two, once a week's good. Trees, once a week. Vines, trumpet vine, honeysuckle, once a week is good, okay? If you've got brand new plants, which I'm hoping you all will go out and just load up the shopping carts, take home lots of new plants. You probably have new landscapes you're dealing with. Those plants, what I do is I'll put my new plants on my drip system so they're watered with all my other stuff. And then in addition, I'll just take my hose and hand water to give it that extra twice a week watering for trees and shrubs. That makes sense? So a lot of mistake people make is they take a plant home, put it in the ground, put two drip emitters on it, go, it will thrive and be good. And the root ball is too small. You need to give it some supplemental watering for that first season until those roots get from that root ball out further out into the surrounding soil. Once it's out there, the pressure's off. Once a week's good. The mistake I find is for my Northwest folks, they're thinking, well, it used to rain every day. My plants need water every day. Oh, they don't need that much. They need a lot of water and then just let them breathe after that. So, okay, anyway. So establish new plants twice a week. Okay, here's the thing. Here's for my friends, I don't want you to the reason they were killed is it was a super dry winter and it was very warm. It was way warmer than we're used to. So plants were winter killed or winter damaged. And so they were dry. We had some cold snaps and it killed off the tops. So you've seen the tops of trees dead, or the entire tree died, and you might see some growth coming from the base. There's only one thing that does that, only one. It was dry in the winter and it got damaged by the winter cold. So that's where you want to water in the winter twice a month. So you're seeing on the November through March, just break up. But the landscaper turned off my irrigation. Take the hose out and water, especially those new things, water them by hand, just to take the edge off. Especially if you hear the weatherman going, it's going to be a cold one. It's really coming out. It's really going to get cold. Plants that are cold and dry get damaged. Plants that are hydrated and moist, keeps that antifreeze going up and down the stems of the plants. They are not damaged. This is especially important for your container gardens. Let me just cover that too. Container. So I've had a couple back surgeries. I can't get down like I used to, nor do I want to. So I have a lot of containers and raised beds. It's just easier. I can control the soils. my success is better. So I've got over 50 pots and lots of plants in raised beds. If I hear the winter's coming, it's getting really cold, I make sure I go out and hand water my container plants because, again, a rose bush, it's in full bloom right now. It's glorious. It's over 10 years old. It's beautiful. Japanese maple, it's beautiful. It's glorious. In my raised pots, I make sure in the winter I go and water if I know a real cold snap's coming, because a hydrated plant does not get damaged like a dry plant. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it really plays out for you. It'll be a game changer. Okay, and then all bets are off for lawns, tomatoes, vegetables, flowers, things with little tiny root balls. Probably right now you're watering every day, if not every other day. So the frequency is way up there because they're so small. I'll try to watch some certain plants. They're kind of canaries in the coal mine. Tomatoes. I mean, if you look at them wrong, they're big crybabies. At the end of the day, they just wilt over. I'm so dry. I'm so hot. I can't take it. And then the sun goes down. They go, oh no, just fake. I'm back. So I kind of look at that, going, oh, there's one that's real talkative. Some plants are real talkative. I'll go, okay. They can go 2 days before they get real wilty. That's my cue. They go 2 days. Pansies are that way, especially early on. They're kind of real talkative. You know, if they're too cold, they lay down. Then it's 10 o'clock, it warms up, they're back up. Just faking. So you look at certain plants and they'll kind of talk to you. You're gardeners. So you're brand new to the area, over half of you. And you heard a garden class in June. That says something about you. So you're used to talking to plants and reacting. Oh, something's off. Use certain plants and read them. So makes sense. Watering. Take it. Again, my secret. I want my logo in every irrigation box in Yavapai County. So that's our goal. Okay. Yeah, if you get in trouble, come talk to us. Okay, we can help you guide that thing in. I do find folks, they don't know how to use micro irrigation. They're used to pop up or flood irrigation. So that drip emitter, the number one emitter your contractor uses when they put that system in, 1 gallon per hour. Your system has to run for an hour to get 1 gallon on. And you've got a tree let's go over that real quick. This is a 1 gallon plant. It needs 1 gallon of water, root ball, 1 gallon of water per week. This is a 2 gallon plant. It needs 2 gallons of water each week. Okay. Guess how much this 5 gallon plant needs? 5 gallons of water each week. Okay, so that'll help you. Okay, I've got 1 gallon per hour. I might need 2 emitters, and I'll run it for an hour twice a week. I'll get close. I'm getting close. So that's kind of help you maybe. I do find that folks run the frequency way too often, and they don't run it long enough. So drip systems need to be run for an hour or two, not minutes, to get enough water coming out of that little emitter. So, and at the top, it still looks dry, but it creates this teardrop. The drip irrigation does. So you got your surface. Here's your plant. And so you got your emitter here and here. It actually forms like it looks like a water droplet. It's how it waters. So it's dripping right here, but as it penetrates the soil, it starts to expand out in the soil. Okay. If you're hand watering, good rule of thought, the way I look at it, 1 inch of water sitting on the surface will penetrate 6 inches of soil. It's a little rough if you're out by Granite Mountain where it's real sandy. Maybe it goes in 8 inches. I don't know. If you're really heavy, thick clay, maybe it's only 4, but basically 1 inch to 6 inch, pretty close. So if you got a big tree like this, 14 inch, maybe you need a couple of inches of water to penetrate the entire root ball. Your goal, every time you water, you want the entire root ball to be watered and a little bit more. If you're doing that, you get a very strong, deep-rooted plant. If you don't, you get a real shallow-rooted, they blow over, especially fruit trees. You'll see them blow over. They'll load up with peaches or apricots, apples. They'll just fall over. That's a plant that was not watered correctly when it was first put in, so it had real shallow roots. Okay. think we just covered, I have an entire class on nothing but drip irrigation, but in 5 minutes or less, that's what I got for you. We okay? I don't see glazed over too much. I see we're good. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this. Crepe myrtle. It's a summer plant. So we have 5 seasons here. We have maybe 6. Let's see. We just came out of the spring season. That's really May and June. And we're going to the summer season. That's this guy. Summer plants. They love the heat. They love the wind. They love storms. They love everything about summer. And so crepe myrtles, rose of Sharon's, your roses, if you can deadhead those right now, fertilize them, the best flush of flowers you'll find of the entire, it'll be twice as good as the spring season. They love the summer season. Smoke bush are starting to bloom. Potentias, there's a whole series of summer blooming plants that just love everything about the heat. Okay, that's summer. So we had spring, summer, fall. So fall color. We're kind of famous for our aspens, our maples, the mums love growing here. There's a whole bunch of fall color that shows up. Then you've got winter evergreens. So you need to have some anchored spruce and pine, fir, cypress, cedar, junipers, all these evergreens. And then the most famous, the red-tip photinias, elaeagnus, cotoneaster, these big shrubs that are evergreen. And your just shrubby evergreens in general. And then I put up another one called early spring. So that's March, April. It's spring, but it's really still snowy, frosty. You need plants that can take that bright day, cold nights. That's going to be your lilacs, forsythia, flowering quince, your pansies, your snapdragons. There's a whole series of plants that love the early spring. Then you get into spring, more traditional. I'm planting tomatoes. I'm planting my cucumbers and my zinnias and the spring things. Then I'll add one more, which we're in right now. I call it perennial season. June. The month of June. We are in really good, strong perennial. Perennials are the perennial and permanent. Both start with P. So they come back year after year after year. Annuals, that's everything up here in this house, they're going to die in the winter. So annuals live for a year. Perennials come back year after year. So that lower greenhouse that you came up from the parking lot, that's all the perennial plants that come back year after year. June is the month to plant perennials because they all come in full bloom. Now, I'll have perennials before that, but there's just green blobs in a bucket, and you're trying to read the tag and going, well, how big does that get? What color is that little tiny picture? I can't. Here, they're all in bloom. You can touch, smell, taste. You can just see them. June, they all come into bloom. And we do perennials better than anyone else in the country. Herbs, we do better because we don't have all that humidity. We don't get the leaf spot. We don't have all the meltdown of things. They like that dryness, which prevents all the issues that you might have had in other parts of the country. We don't have those. I mean, roses. I think I've seen in all my years 2 cases of black spot. In Chicago, that's all they deal with is black spot. Arkansas, all they deal with black spot on roses. We never see that because it's humid there. Here it's glorious. It's my kids live in Austin, San Antonio. It's only 95 there today and 120% humidity. I don't know how they live in that. And you walk outside, so there's a difference. So this is we're going from, let me just cover it, start from the beginning. You've got winter evergreens, early spring, perennial month, June, summer, fall. Those are your seasons. It's because it's real long seasons. So, okay. Crepe myrtles lose its leaves in the winter. So it's a great fall color from oranges to bright golds. But it's really famous from now through the end of the year. Bright. Nothing has a color like a crepe myrtle. They don't grow as big as you Texans. I mean, everything grows big in Texas. It doesn't get that big. What we do is they get reset every few winters. Really big shrubs rather than a tree. You'll see a few trees or rumors of trees, but really see a lot of shrubs. Same with figs, you folks from Phoenix. used to fig trees. They get gigantic and they produce fruit. Here, the figs, we grow pomegranates, but they tend to get reset to the ground every once in a while and they come back fresh from the root. So you'll see fig, so they'll grow, but they might grow a little differently than you're used to from where we've done it in the past. Okay. All right. Oh, I was going to cover this. I said containers. We got to do this for our friends. For my friends, don't make a mistake. Red clay, Italian clay, or that red terracotta clay that your grandparents used, don't use that unless you're going to empty it, store it inside every winter or under the deck. What happens is that freeze thaw. It's nice during the day and then it freezes at night. That messes with clay. Like it starts to crack, it flakes, causes a lot of issues. So, and especially since we're so close to Phoenix, they have this beautiful decorative Italian, not Italian, it's almost Indian. It's a red clay with this charcoal, cool mix on it. It's actually it's clay, and the kiln is a fire pit basically. I've literally seen that kind of clay melt in the rain, much less in our freeze thaw. So if you make a mistake, it won't winter over. If you're going to garden year round, a nice glaze. This is from let's see. It'll have a ring. It'll have a ring to it. You can tell it's got a dense clay to it. So it's better clay. And then the kiln, they're actually sending it through a kiln so they get it fired enough. So it's very, very. It's not porcelain, but it's darn close. So this will winter over. Okay, so we specialize in containers that you can garden in year round. So we try not to carry. I don't sell plastic. First of all, you can get that at Walmart. Why would I sell a Walmart thing at Waters Garden Center? Just doesn't make sense. Where the two, not clay, plastics. Let me put down Walmart for a second. So plastics tend to stay too wet. They don't breathe enough. So I tend to do damage in the spring. When I'm starting to see new growth, I'm starting to water, but I'm watering too much. So I tend to have things rot. And then you'll pick it up about year 2 and the lips kind of break off because the plastics break down. So I prefer clay. Wood I like, but wood kind of dates you. It screams 1990s, early 2000s, just dates your house. And no offense, just kind of dates you. You kind of date gardens by their timbers, by what their landscapes are, but the size of the junipers out front, they're just overgrown. You can kind of date the landscapes. Wood, they tend to rot out in the bottom. So after about 3 or 4 years, you'll pick them up and just the bottom just drops. You go, no, what just happened? There's no recovery. So we don't sell wood here. We're going for resort size, bigger size, clay pots you can grow in. That's our niche in the marketplace. So just be aware of clay. Not just any clay. Get a good quality clay. So I've had to fire vendors because they come a little bit too fast, and now the clay is not high fired enough. And then they start to break, and then I fire you and find someone else to have a better clay. Anyway, just the things you got to hold people accountable to. Let's do this. Grass. We grow grass, but they love the prairie area. They just love this altitude. Grass, if you've not played with them, where you get a windy area, it just adds drama. It adds design elements. It's beautiful. There's a lot of grass. It's the biggest mistake I find people make. That's Phoenix, Palm Springs, Southern Cal. You love your red fountain grass. It does not winter over here. It dies in the winter. Okay, it's an annual. So I see that mistake a couple times. We go, but I've always gardened with that. Well, plant this one. This one does. It's not the same as red fountain grass. It has some red, but it's an ornamental perennial grass. Okay, number one seller. This one can be a bit of a weed. This is a monster. This is pampas grass. So this is the gigantic one. It gets as tall as I am. Has those great big white plumes that hovers above it. It's great for screening. If the kids are cutting your corner and you plant one of those, they're not going to mess with it. I would never plant this in my own yard. It's just too aggressive for me. I don't want to work that hard for grass. I don't need something that big. I'd rather have a nice shrub that's friendlier. I'd rather have this. So I've coral forester grass or some that more ornamental looking grasses. They're like this size rather than this. All grasses should be cut back in the month of March. I guess anytime after the new year, but basically you cut it back before they start to grow new growth, which usually starts in April. Okay, so before April, cut them back. Like this one, I just take my lawnmower over. So this is big blue stem ornamental grass. There's zebra grass. There's all kinds of grasses down there. But I'll cut them back close to the ground as I can. And literally weed whack hedgers, just aggressive. Then I fertilize them and they come back fresh. This one I find not enough people prune it back. And so they get this brown stems with this green stems coming through it. If you simply cut it back to about a foot high or so, now all of a sudden all the brown is gone. All you have is lush, new green growth. So, I wish I brought a yucca, but the mistake I find some folks make is they treat yuccas and agaves, they look like grass. Right now they've got a red flower that's coming up. They're covered in red flowers. They're thinking that's a grass. That's actually an evergreen. It keeps its foliage. I've seen a couple blunders where I call them the mow. Go mow those things down. It takes years to recover once a yucca's been cut back. So you got to think what kind of plant, how I treat it. If in doubt, come take a picture. Come ask us. We'll make sure you don't make the mistake. Okay, pampas grass, great plant for here. Don't cut myself. Okay, I'll put this back before I lose it. Roses. So we're famous for roses here. And if you've not tried roses, I would encourage you to do that. Try it. Just experiment. I know it's intimidating. You think you got to count back. Your grandparents were always out. Ladies of roses. They when the flower fades, it's drops it, puts a new one on all by itself. They're no longer grafted on their own root, on different rootstocks. They're on their own rootstock. So they have less maintenance, less bugs. With fencing, fill it with leaves. We don't do any of that. We don't get that cold. So we're not trying to insulate and protect. It's really easy, and nothing blooms like a rose. It pulsates at least twice to 3 times a year, flushes new growth. Just an easy plant to grow. So if you haven't tried it, I'm just giving you permission. They're not as intimidating as you think they are because you're gardening at high altitude now. Where it's dry. It's easier to grow things here. Okay. This is a traditional shrub rose. This will get up about 4 by 4 by 4. And then all I do with this, I've got this one in a pot. I just cut it back with my hedgers. And then I just fertilize it and it comes back. It's been in bloom for a month and a half. Fertilize as soon as the rain comes, it's going to go bloom again for another month and a half. It's an amazing plant. So anyway, roses, permission with roses. Number 1 selling hummingbird plant. I guess number one native hummingbird plant, number 1 planted hummingbird plant. Am I at the right place? Yeah. So we're at the top 10. We're now right here, top 10. This is salvia. Anytime you hear the word sage or salvia, you know you got a good plant. Okay? This is a shrub. It's up about kind of knee high, 3 by 3 by 3. Blooms like this from May through November. It's amazing how long it blooms. And hummingbirds literally will fight over this plant. They bicker back and forth. They'll be racing across the yard. They'll see this and just, whoa, that's cool. They love this plant. Okay. It blooms like this for an amazing long time. And sage and salvias, animals don't eat them. Javelina, deer, the rabbits have been bad. So rabbits, I think that's because it was so warm. Usually winter gets real cold. I think it thins out some of the vermin. Well, now we have more rabbits than ever. So they don't eat this. Okay, so it's a good plant for that. Plant, you'll see this growing wild. Just as you walk around, you'll see different colors of this. The main ones are pink and white with maybe some red variations or the native, but it's such a strong plant. We're trying to introduce more new colors. They love sun. Hummingbirds love it. It is a perennial. It will come back for decades. It comes back every year. So it's good in containers or just right out in the yard. Penstemmon's a great plant. Okay, good perennial. So in March, just a green blob. In April, it started to show a few buds. In May, it started to bloom, but in June, it's been blooming this all. So June is okay. This one and this one are two that you may not be familiar with because they're unique to us. This is Potentia, or for you folks in the Middle West, Potentella. In the Southwest, we don't pronounce the 2 L's. Anyway, Potentia. It's a shrub about 3 by 3 by 3, about knee high, rounded, really hot. You're on a ridge line, everything dies because the wind, you don't have enough soil. This is the one we plant. So it takes the heat, takes the sun, takes it, and once it's rooted out, it's very drought hardy. So it takes a little bit of care to get it rooted, but once it's rooted, boy, it's tough. Deer, javelina, nothing. It looks delicious, but nothing eats this. So it has a long bloom. So butterflies, it's a great butterfly plant. Potentia. Okay, and then this one's one. They bloom about the same time. Or help me. What's the botanical on this? I'm gonna have to. Yeah. St. John's wort. It just says St. John. I can't read it from here. It's too small. You got to tell me what that is because it's in my head. I just can't tell. That's just going to occur. Hypericum or St. John's wort. It blooms like it's been blooming with these yellow flowers like this. Hypericum. I should know that. Has these flowers to it. It's been blooming like this for over a month. And it puts these beautiful, just a different look. These berries persist well into winter, which is kind of cool. It's deciduous, that is, it'll lose its leaves, but these berries hang on, which is really cool. There's a great little sun plant that you probably don't see it in other parts of the country, but here it just loves going at altitude. It loves everything about the mountains of Arizona, types of yards. Okay. All right, let's go back to planting. Let's cover how to plant this. Hydrangea. One of the number one plants sold in the country. Just the right spot. And just the right spot is no sun. So under the canopy of trees, the north side of your house, your covered patio, in a container up against a wall, perfect spot. It's not the cold that takes it out. It's the sun, that dry heat, need the shade. So you got to space it. If you put it in the right place, fantastic. So for me, I've got a great big oxblood red glazed pot. It's under my deck, going out into the entertainment area on the north side of my house. You kind of step down. It's where the hot tubs and the grills. We do a lot of entertaining back there. It's right there, and it will continue to bloom. So I bring it just so you know where to place things. So you see them promoted all the time. Every magazine's got hydrangeas in it. You can grow those, just grow them in the right place. I don't want you making mistakes, okay? But how to plant this. If you're to plant this in the ground, I only need to dig the hole as deep as the bucket and wide. Roots go sideways here. The taproot is a total myth. There is no taproot. First of all, when they see that caliche layer, where that caliche chunk went, that's what it's going to run into. It's not going to go down. The roots are going sideways. Reaching out for the wall, do that. So you just dig a hole of the same depth, 3 times as wide, round shaped. That's the size of your hole. If it's a small plant, just this depth of the plant, 3 times as wide, that's good. If it's a great big old plant, like this chase tree, it might be this deep, but 3 times as wide. Roots are going to go sideways, okay? So we're going to have chunks of clay. Some of you are going to hit, you folks out white spars, all you get are rocks and boulders. By the time you get done, all you have is a big old chunk of rock there. You might have to amend the soil to add some topsoil in there. Most of us are going to have some native dirt. It's got to get used to that soil. What we want to do is the roots can get through that heavy clay soil more than likely. Anything that's bigger than a golf ball, get it out of there. So rocks, roots, chunks of things, caliche layers, get all that stuff out of there because it heats up in summer and just bakes the roots. Anything that's left, you're going to take about a third of, you're going to take some mulch. This is organic. It looks like coffee grounds. Dark, rich wood product. We screen it down 1/4 inch minus. It's real fine. We've made this locally sourced. We make this so that we can amend our dirt. It keeps it fluffier so the roots can get through it. Plus, what you'll find is when you dig a hole, there's not one worm. There's not any mycorrhizal colony. There's no living, breathing good thing in the soil. You'll need to amend. This is what attracts worms. Soil. Compost is what does that. Sort of mulch. I have to be careful. You folks in the Midwest, you call mulch, which is wood bark chips, basically. We just call that bark chips. So we got terminology. This is actually composted wood material. Is what this is. You're taking about 1 shovel of this to 3 shovels of. Above that, it gets too much and it stays too wet. So there we'd add some topsoil. We have to amend with some more soil kind of stuff. But most of us are going to put a new fruit tree in, a new maple, new aspen. We're going to go 25% this native soil blend hard. Just really step on it. Okay. Then we're going to fertilize it with all-purpose plant food. I just sprinkle some of this on top, and I water it in with Root and Grow. And I don't have any of that, but there's a transplant shock. The trees are going to freak out, lose a couple leaves. They're not going to like being in that ground. We call it transplant shock. The Root and Grow is a compost tea we make to soothe the roots of the plants. Okay, that's how you plant. Here's the mistake. I find go here. I'm really good at Pictionary. usually. But up here, maybe not as good. So here's your soil. The mistake, what Phoenix does, they tell you to do, they say, have a divot. You want to rain harvest. Here's the ground. We can collect rain. We can, first of all, they don't get rain. They get under 10 inches of rain a year. It's 110 degrees at night. We cool right off, and more than likely, we're going to get an afternoon rain. And so we never want to plant in a divot. You want to be at soil level. This is where your plant is. And you folks out in the valley areas, you want to be above soil level so that especially the drought hardy evergreens, Arizona cypress, chase tree, potentilla, you want to be just slightly above ground. Plant up here so that we can get those roots out of the water. Here's the danger. We're going to go, this goes just so I can talk about a new plant. We got spirea. This is a drought hardy plant. What I would do is I would leave, especially out, maybe in Prescott, not so much, but definitely in Prescott Valley, Dewey, Humboldt, that whole 6.25 lightly feather the soil out this way. So no one will see it's on a mound except you. What it does, and I put my drip emitters on top of that, or I put my water basin around that so I can water it. The reason I'm doing that is you're setting up your drip system. You're watering like crazy right now. It's hot, it's dry, plants are wilting. You just want to keep them alive. Go up from 0% to 30%. The plant, you can see the plants go, oh, finally, the humidity's back. And then we'll get once or twice a week an afternoon rain. If you are watering at that same pace, plus you get rain in the afternoon, you'll literally get too much water on this, you'll get some root rot. And so that's a Phoenix thing. Don't do that up here or you will pay the price. I know we can buy new plants or high quality. They'll bloom like crazy for you. But I'd rather just have you have success and plant and just not struggle. I want you to have success. It makes sense? So mulch, you must stake trees or they will start leaning to the northeast. We get a prevailing southwest wind. So they'll just start, you can tell that in your neighborhood, you'll just see some trees leaning. They weren't staked. So stakes, I find people leave them on way too long. So about a year is enough for bigger tree. They're solid enough they can stand up by themselves. But that first year, they need help staying up straight. I do find too, just School of Hard Knocks, we're just throwing them out there, just write them down. Don't use little stakes. You want a lodgepole. The little stakes wiggle out of the ground. Our wind just kind of gets them to wiggle out of the ground. I can't keep them in the ground. Lodgepole, the big wood ones, they don't do it. Don't try to hammer stakes in over and over again. This is kind of an old-fashioned plant. This has been around for decades. This is spirea. I love spirea because it's a pollinator, butterflies, hummingbird, bee, the companion for things like, these are companion plants. They go together. This comes in pink, comes in white, comes in pink, comes in white, comes in pink or white. So this comes in yellow. So, but it's a great little plant. They're both deciduous, lose their leaves. Okay. And you'll have that plant list. If you put, okay, it'll be to you shortly. Okay. And then I'll give you a couple of my favorite new ones. This one I've been growing for years. This is euphorbia, rainbow ascot euphorbia. It gets about this tall, covered like this. It's kind of a youngster yet, but it literally is an evergreen perennial. Looks great in containers. I use this one, we like to entertain, and I tell everyone, go through the house, go up the where it's dark. And I've got lighting back there, but still it's kind of dark. I don't want you tripping and falling. But everyone wants to go. So I plant these along the walkway because they glow at night. They're just bright. They look good. You can see them day or night. The great thing about this is related to poinsettias. Sap to it, like a poinsettia does. That's a defense. Animals don't like that taste. It makes their tongue go numb. So they just start talking like this all the time. They don't like that, so they don't eat this. We came out with this one last year. This is Dark Night. This is Miner's Merlot euphorbia. Same. They're the same plant. They both get up this high. They both get evergreen. And they look great. So it's kind of my new favorite plant. I have a new plant every year. I kind of pick one. These are two that are just so easy to grow. Full sun. Animals don't bother them. Javelina are my nemesis. Ooh, 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 there's herds of them. Don't like javelina. You can pull your pickup truck and just jump over the fence. It's to keep the javelina out. There's herds of them back there. Anyway, this is echinacea, or echinacea. Yep. This is coneflower or echinacea. Comes in a lot of different colors. I brought this one for you, these seed heads. So what I do is I will pinch these flowers off as they fade so that will force new flowers, always forcing new flowers. And then starting in September, I will let them go to seed. I'll stop pinching off the flowers. I'll let them go to seed. And I'll let them just stay out there. And that's what my finches, so it's a great little plant. If you're into birding, this is a great one for you. In the yard, great little wildflower. This is daylily. We grow daylilies like no one else. They love the dry, they love the brightness. Animals don't eat this. Rabbits, javelina, put it right out there. They might rest on it, crush it. They might pick it up and pass it back and forth just for fun for a bit until it's rooted. But generally, they're not going to eat this as a food source. Okay, daylilies are really good. Okay, full sun. Let's see, I've got two more. Then we'll leave it. How are we doing? Just right on time. This is perfect. Two shade plants. So I've got shade plants. So if you ever get in trouble, just if you want advice, take a picture. Take the camera. Take a picture. When I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the shadowing. I'm looking at where the angle of the sun is. I'm looking at what other plants are in the picture. I'm trying to think companion plants. That's what I'm not. I know you're showing me one plant. These two like growing together. This is bleeding heart. It's a shade-loving plant under the canopies, perennial. Comes back year after year, just gets bigger, fuller. It's a great little plant here, and animals don't eat it. I don't know why. It looks delicious, but they don't. And then this gets these flowers, gets hundreds of these flowers, just kind of gets a little bell-shaped thing to it, but you're really planting for this great foliage. And this is mostly evergreen. There's a time in January it kind of fades, but I'll just pick all the dead leaves out, and then it comes right back and does this almost year-round. Great perennial and I've grown this in the sun, although it does take a little bit of water to keep it going. In the shade, it's bulletproof. It's got some classic metal. I've got a lot of raised, I make containers, basically, raised beds, the blocks. You just stack them. I've got several that are up pretty high. like using the troughs. They'll go down to Cal Ranch or Olson's Grand, they'll just get a horse trough. Make sure there's drainage at the bottom. So don't plug that hole. So usually a horse trough has a plug. You can either plug it, some of them have plugs, some of them don't. Just make sure you pull that plug, or you take a drill to the bottom, drill some hole. Drainage is the key. Same with clay pots. So you notice this. You'll see some of your oriental pots, they're made for water gardens. They won't even have this. Or some of your house plant pots, they purposely don't have a drainage hole. It's meant to be a decorative sleeve. You pull the plant out to water it in the sink or someplace else. Out in the yard, you want a drainage hole. So let's just look, or just create a water fountain. So they're not going to drain. So just fill them with water, have decorative stuff, or grow cattails or mint or something in it. You can't kill mint. So what else? That's good, really good question. Yep. So we have 2 wet cycles here. March, it's more of a snowy, wet. It can rain, but we get these real heavy, wet snows, and it can drown, it can rot things out. So watch that one. And then usually in July through September, there's another wet cycle. It arrives sometime in July and it ends sometime in September, but usually we'll get quite a bit of rain. The question of storms, because I'm trying to rehydrate the soil. Right now, what's happening is the ground is bone dry, except for the 2 little pockets you have where your emitters are. As soon as we get some rain, it'll start to hydrate, but I don't want to cut back too soon or the plants can dry out. The rain will fool you. Again, it takes an inch of rain to penetrate 6 inches of soil. 6 inches of soil. It takes a lot of rain to actually hydrate your soil again. So I'm going to keep that. Here's how you can, it's an easier, so I go deeper with the actual drip irrigation class. You're not playing with how long you're running your clocks. You're playing with frequency. Once you figure out, it takes me an hour and 45 minutes to water my plants, that is the time every time. Now all you're playing with is frequency. Do I have it on once a week? Do I have it on 7 days or 8 days? 5 days? Right now, 5 days in June. I'll back it off as soon as we get rain to 7 days. And if we get some real rain, I might back it off to 8 or every 9 days. In the winter, every 14 days, because you're watering twice a month. You're playing with the frequency is way easier for your brain to contemplate than I'm also going to add another variable of, and how long do I do it? Now all of a sudden you can't. There's 2 bugs out right now that are pretty bad. We're seeing, and we're going deep into this next week. We'll cover every single one of those. So one is spider mites. What we're seeing is this, it's a webbing. It's like this coating on top of the foliage. A lot of evergreens have this butterfly bush, we've noticed it on. The native junipers. So I've seen this white spidery looking webbing, but no spiders. There's only one thing that does that. Spider mites. It's tiny bug. You can't see, starves to death. That's how it dies. That's one. If you see that, come see us. It's super easy to kill. But be aware. Don't have to worry about it unless you see some webbing. You see webbing? Oh, they're on junipers, Arizona cypress. You'll just see that webbing. See that? It's probably not a spider probably spider mites. Come see us right away. And usually they're a real early spring plant bug. They showed up real late. It has to be because that dry, warm, something happened in the winter where thrip, they started biting us like 3 weeks ago. They're also called no-see-ums. You just be in the garden, you feel something biting your skin. That's only one thing does that, thrip, T-H-R-I-P, also called no-see-um. They get inside the rosebud, and once they're inside there, there's no way they're protected. You can't kill them. For my roses, I give them rose food systemic, not organic, but just my roses. In the early, I'll prune them in March, give them rose food with systemic. So that it's a fertilizer, it creates flowers, and it taints, they really have those first flower buds. In the summer, it's less problems. So the thrip are not a fall, summer, fall thing. They're a spring, summer thing. So we don't have thrip from this point forward. So all the new buds will be clean. So anyway, that's thrip. And then the one I've been struggling with just recently, they're eating my geraniums and my petunias. They're just in my yard. But I'll bet if you look, they're in your yard too. I had beautiful petunias, wave petunias, glorious. And all of a sudden the flowers started to disappear. They stopped blooming. I'm seeing some holes in the flowers. That's bud worm. So there's one little tiny caterpillar, and whatever they eat, they take on the same color. So if they're eating pink flowers, they turn pink. They eat purple flowers, they turn purple. Little holes out of your flowers, or they just stop blooming. This spinosad plus soap, this is the greatest stuff ever for just and so they're beautiful.